Some secrets sleep in silence, until someone dares to wake them. A pendant that is not just jewelry, but a key. A father's whispers hidden in floorboards. A dynasty cracking under the weight of betrayal. And in the heart of it all, Zhu Milam and Qin Yiran, once bound by bloodlines and broken promises, now standing shoulder to shoulder against legacies built on lies. Tonight, the truth steps out from the shadows. But every truth has its price. Welcome to the Velvet Story, and you are listening Beneath the Mask. Chapter 67, Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. The Zhu family villa stood quiet under the veil of dusk. The grand halls that once rang with laughter and lively footsteps now held only silence and shadows. Milam moved quietly through the west wing, her footsteps a whisper against the polished wooden floors. In her hand, she clutched her father's old pendant, the smooth jade cool against her skin. She had stared at it for hours last night. Something about it had nagged at her. And then she noticed the subtle ridge near the clasp. It wasn't a normal pendant. It was a key, and the velvet box it came in? False-bottomed. Hidden inside had been blueprints of the Zhu estate, annotated in her father's precise handwriting. A small red X marked a forgotten study on the second floor. Her father used to go there alone when he didn't want to be disturbed. Now she stood in it. Books lined the walls, coated with dust. Old trophies from her school years still sat on a shelf, and on the far wall, her father's framed degrees stood side by side with her brother's. But she wasn't here to remember. She knelt beside the floorboards, tracing the same pattern she used to sit on as a child. Her fingers pressed one, then another. A faint click answered her. The panel slid open. Inside, wrapped in waxed paper, was a bundle of documents. Yellowed with age but unmistakably valuable. Below it sat a slim, black hard drive, modern, encrypted. She stared for a moment, emotions choking her. Her father had left this. He knew he might not survive. And he trusted her to carry it forward. With trembling hands, she unfolded the top document. Bank transfers, contracts, surveillance requests. Her father had hired Ronhua Investigations, a covert firm used by elite businessmen to investigate corruption quietly. The dates aligned chillingly, just weeks before the wedding, just days before the crash. A lump caught in her throat. He knew, and more, he'd suspected someone inside the family circle. One name appeared repeatedly, Evelyn Zhou. Milan's pulse roared in her ears. The betrayal ran even deeper than she'd imagined. A distant buzzing snapped her attention back. Her phone. Yiran. She answered, voice low. I found it. He left me everything. Miles away, Qin Yiran stared at his grandfather across a low tea table. Tension coiled tight in his spine. You've changed, the old man muttered, pouring 2 cups of aged pu'ed. You look more like your father before he bowed to the board. Yiran didn't reach for the tea. Why did you fund Lin Jianong? The old man's movements still. Because Zhu Renji denied our merger. He was arrogant. So you sold out a family for wounded pride? Yiran's voice sharpened. I preserved our legacy. Yiran leaned forward, jaw clenched. Our legacy doesn't come soaked in betrayal. The elder's expression twisted, 8 spots trembling with rage. You are just like your mother, idealistic. Weak. No. I'm done being blind. He placed 2 printed bank records on the table, proof of funds transferred from the Qin family's investment wing to Jianhong's Cayman accounts. You helped ruin a girl's life. Destroyed a family. And for what? A vendetta from 20 years ago? You'd throw your blood away for a woman? Yiran's voice was ice. No, I'll destroy anything that covers for rot. And with that, he stood. He didn't wait for permission. His grandfather's fury followed him out, but Yiran no longer cared. There were things worth more than blood. That night, Milam and Yiran met on the rooftop of an old tea house, a place untouched by politics, untouched by pain. The air was crisp, the lights of the city below flickering like stars fallen to earth. I traced the paper trail, Milam said, spreading out the documents. Ronhua Investigations sent 2 encrypted reports to my father. He never got to reveal them. Yiran studied the names. When he saw Evelyn Joe's, his jaw tightened. I confronted my grandfather, he said. He didn't deny it. Our family funded part of the move against yours. Milam was quiet for a moment. You could walk away from this, Yiran. He looked at her, his eyes steady. I don't want to. A silence stretched between them, heavy and honest. I hated you at first, she admitted. Because you reminded me of that night. I thought you were another piece in someone else's game. I thought you were a spoiled heiress who'd burn everything down to get revenge, he said quietly. They both smiled, small, wounded things. And now? She asked. Now I think you're the bravest person I've ever met. Her heart fluttered, unexpectedly. I'm not brave, she whispered. I'm just trying to survive. He leaned closer. Then let me stand beside you. Not to fix you, just to stand. She didn't pull away. In that quiet space between city lights and broken truths, something fragile and real took root. They weren't whole yet, but together, they were no longer shattered. End of chapter 67. Chapter 68, The Awakening of the Heiress. Zhu Milam sat in the quiet of her study, the hard drive from her father still clutched in her hand. The digital files were backed up, triple encrypted now, both on her own system and an off-grid drive Yiran had given her. But even with the evidence, she knew one truth clearly: information wasn't power until it was wielded. She scrolled through the names listed in the Rondhwa investigation reports. Executives, lawyers, a foreign shell company with ties to Lin Jianong, and Evelyn Joe, always Evelyn, whose digital signature appeared on authorizations she should have had no business accessing. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. EMS, Zhu, this is Rondhwa Investigations. We received your late father's contingency signal. We are ready to assist, full discretion. Milan's fingers paused over the keys. Her father had set all of this in motion, quietly preparing for the day someone would need to fight back in his place. She typed quickly. I'm ready. Send a secure courier. I need face-to-face debrief and testimony for a public filing. This ends now. Meanwhile, Keen Yiran moved through the lower levels of the Keen corporate headquarters. It wasn't where he normally spent his time. The building's underground archive was a fortress of old financial records, some dating back to the founding of the Keen Empire. But today, he wasn't here for nostalgia. He was chasing blood money. His father's legacy had been manipulated. His grandfather had partnered with Jianong not just to hurt Zhu Rengji, but to siphon power from both families and push the younger generations out. Yiran's eyes scanned until he found it, a coded expense account labeled Tianhai Maritime Holdings. A paper company. It had funded shell investments, silent bribes and hush payouts masked as import fees. His own family's resources had paid for the silence around Milan's scandal. He took a deep breath. And he printed everything. If the board wanted war, they were going to get it. That night, Milam stood outside the hospital once again, watching the sun deep low behind the city skyline. The light bathed her in amber and gold, and for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel small beneath it. Yiran arrived a few minutes later, crisp in a dark suit, his hair still damp from a late meeting. You look like trouble, he said, his voice a gentle tease. Good, Milam replied, because trouble is what they deserve. She handed him a file, thick, bound, and stamped with the seal of Rondhwa Investigations. What's this? My father's final gift, she said. Testimony, timeline, proof. Yiran flipped through the first few pages, then exhaled slowly. This could bury Jianong. And Evelyn, she added. If we move fast. I have something too, he said, handing her his own folder. It traces the bribes to Keen Enterprises. If we go public, it'll blow up both our families. You sure you're ready? Her gaze didn't waver. I'm done living in ruins. They stood side by side in the soft wind, two legacies twisted by ambition and betrayal, but no longer powerless. Milan's phone buzzed again. A message from Rondhwa. Our witness is ready. There's someone your father trusted. Meeting set for tomorrow morning. Her heart skipped. Witness? Do you know who it is? She asked Yiran. He shook his head. We'll find out soon enough. The next morning, the cafe was quiet, private, shutters drawn and rented under Ronghua's name. Milam entered first. Yiran a step behind her. Both were armed with evidence, backup drives, and unflinching eyes. A tall man in his 40s stood from a corner table, wearing a dark suit and glasses. His eyes were sharp, though weary. Zhu, he said with a respectful bow. I'm Chen Deyu. I was your father's legal advisor and financial cleaner. He trusted me with his last contingency plan. She swallowed hard. Why didn't you come forward earlier? I tried. But after the accident, Jianong blacklisted me. If I'd surfaced then, I would have disappeared. He slid a tablet across the table. This, he said, is everything. The night of your wedding, Jianong falsified contracts to move Zhu Group assets into foreign hands. Your father found out the day before, and tried to confront him the next morning. Milan's hands clenched. That's why he was in the car, she whispered. That's why they were hit. Chen nodded solemnly. He never wanted you involved. But he knew, if he didn't make it, you'd be the only one strong enough. Beside her, Yiran spoke, voice steady. She's not alone now. Later that evening, as the city turned to gold and glass again, Milam sat across from her mother's hospital bed. The machine still beeped gently, but her mother's chest rose and fell a little stronger today. I met someone who knew Dad, she whispered. He left me everything, Mama. He believed in me. Her mother didn't stir, but Milam felt no despair. She stood, kissed her mother's forehead, and walked out with her spine straight and her chin lifted. At the hospital's glass entrance, Yiran waited. We're going public, she said. He nodded. I already booked the press conference. Good, she smiled, a fire sparking in her eyes. Let the world see what they tried to bury. End of chapter 68. Chapter 69, The Reckoning Begins. Zhu Milam stood before the mirror in her penthouse dressing room, her fingers tightening the pearl buttons on a sharp-cut white blazer. No longer the silken gowns of banquets or boardroom grey. This was armor. Below her, the city was pulsing with rumor. Every news outlet had received the anonymous email, financial scandal, betrayal, a corporate heiress rising from disgrace. They were all waiting at the Grand Meridian Hotel ballroom, cameras charged, lights hungry. Behind her, Keen Yiran leaned casually against the doorframe, watching her with a quiet reverence. Do you want me to stand beside you? He asked, voice low. Milam turned slightly, the edges of her reflection catching his gaze. You already do, she said. They didn't need more than that. When she stepped out of the car, reporters surged forward, shouting questions. But Milam didn't flinch. Flanked by legal counsel, she walked straight into the ballroom. The cameras flashed. The whispers swirled. The girl who vanished. The heiress who fell. The bride who was betrayed. Now, she returned. Standing behind the podium, she paused, letting silence draw the room to stillness. Then she spoke. My name is Zhu Milam, daughter of Zhu Renji and Madame Liung, majority shareholder of Zhu Group, victim of a corporate coup. And today, survivor no longer. Murmurs erupted, but she continued, each word clear and sharpened. 1 year ago, on the morning after my wedding, I woke in a hotel suite, drugged and disoriented. Hours later, my family, on their way to find me, was struck in a tragic accident. My brother paralyzed, my parents in comas. My ex-husband, Lin Jianong, took over 40% of Zhu Group, in exchange for silence and safety. Gasps echoed. Flashbulbs sparked. But I have never been silent. She reached down and clicked the projector. Behind her, a screen lit up. Evidence, footage, signatures, bank trails. Evelyn's face froze mid-bribe. Jianhong's forged agreements, the shell accounts, everything. And then the final clip, Chen Deyu, in video testimony. My father, Milam said, her voice trembling just once, left this for me. Because he believed I could finish what he started. Reporters shouted. Chaos rose. But in the midst of it all, Milam stood calm, like the eye of a storm. Then a voice pierced the clamor. "You manipulative little." All heads turned. Evelyn. She stood at the back of the hall, eyes wide and wild, her lips curled in disbelief. "You set this up," Evelyn hissed. "You think anyone will believe this?" But Milam didn't even blink. "You did this to yourself," she replied coolly. "This is your reflection, not mine." Security moved toward Evelyn, but not before she shouted, "Jianong will burn you down for this." And Milam, holding her gaze, said clearly, "He'll have to try. And unlike him, I'm not alone." Later that night, away from the chaos and headlines, Milam sat on the rooftop terrace of Yiran's apartment. The wind was softer here. Below, news tickers screamed her name. But up here, there was quiet. He joined her with 2 cups of warm tea. Sliding into the seat beside her. "You did it," he said simply. "Not yet," she replied. "But I lit the fire." He handed her one of the cups. "And now they'll know. The world will finally see the woman I've seen this whole time." She glanced sideways at him, a rare smile playing at the edge of her lips. "You've always said the right things." "No," Yiran said softly, his eyes holding hers. "I just finally met the right woman." She didn't answer right away, her chest tightening unexpectedly. A strange warmth bloomed in her ribs, the kind she hadn't felt in so long it scared her. Not the thrill of revenge. Not power. Just being seen. She looked away, eyes turned toward the stars. "Let's win this war first. Then what?" "Then," she said quietly, "maybe I'll learn how to be happy again." End of chapter 69. Chapter 70, The Ghost in the Ledger. Rain lashed against the glass of Jianhong's office window like knives thrown by a furious god. His jaw clenched as he threw the tablet across the room. It hit the bookshelf with a crack, shattering the glass and toppling a frame, his wedding photo with Milam. He didn't even look at it. "Who leaked it?" He barked into the phone. His assistant stammered, "We're tracing the IP, but it was routed through offshore nodes and proxy servers. Possibly, government-linked." "Don't feed me garbage," Jianong snapped. "The only government Milam knows is the local traffic department." "But, sir, her evidence is airtight." He paused, eyes narrowing. "No, it wasn't her. Not just her. Qin Yiran. That arrogant son of the Qin dynasty. The silent one. The one who never spoke unless his words could kill." He was standing beside her, now. Protecting her. Backing her. Fine, Jianong thought. If that's how they want to play. He picked up the secure phone. "Activate phase 2, he said coldly. Elsewhere, in a quiet archive room at Zhu Group's old headquarters, Milam ran her fingers along dusty shelves. Many had been looted or cleansed by Lin Jianong after her father's incapacitation. But some records escaped notice, especially the ones filed under non-business categories. Her mother's name surfaced. Liuan's Charitable Foundation. There, tucked behind tax reports and donation receipts, she found a thin red ledger. Handwritten. Labeled only with a year, 2001. She opened it slowly. Inside, a list of names. Private funds. But these weren't charities. They were payments. To hospitals. To a private residence in Hangzhou. To one very familiar name, Rondhua Investigations. Her father had been funneling money to keep someone hidden. Protected. A child? No, not a child. A woman. The last entry made her stomach drop. April 16, 2002 final protection payment for Zhu Rilan. She froze. That name hadn't been spoken in her home since she was a teenager. Zhu Rilan. Her aunt. Her father's only sibling. The one who disappeared 2 decades ago after a bitter split from the family over inheritance rights. Her mother always said, some ghosts are better left sleeping. But Milan's father hadn't let her vanish. He'd been protecting her. Why? Milam copied the page and took the ledger. Whatever secrets were buried with her aunt, Jianong clearly hadn't found them. Yet, meanwhile, at the Qin Corporation boardroom, tension wrapped around the glass walls like smoke. Qin Yiran sat at the head of the table, eyes calm but unreadable. One of the older board members cleared his throat. Yiran, we've supported your leadership through aggressive expansion, restructuring, and last year's acquisition of Renwa Pharma. But aligning with Zhu Milam. She's a scandal, another muttered. She's not a scandal, Yiran interrupted coolly. She's the survivor of one. And the future of Zhu Group. Zhu Group is in ruins. And yet, her press conference brought its stocks up by 11% overnight. That silenced the table. She's not your fiancé anymore. Another tried, voice more careful. Are you emotionally involved? Yiran looked directly at the speaker. Not emotionally compromised. But yes, I care. Murmurs swept the room. Then he stood. You want safe? Pick a puppet. You want growth and power? Trust me. And trust that I'd rather risk fire than rot slowly behind silk curtains. No one dared respond. That evening, Milam returned to Yiran's apartment with the red ledger clutched in her coat. He watched her, his brows lifting as she laid the copy on the table between them. This, she said, could explain why my father moved funds off record. He was protecting someone, my aunt. She vanished after a family fallout over Zhu Group's earliest foreign expansion. No one knows where she is, or why my father kept paying to shield her. Yiran leaned in, eyes sharp. If Jianom finds out before we do, he'll erase her, Milam finished. Or use her against me. He exhaled. Then we find her first. They were quiet for a moment. Then Yiran reached out, brushing a thumb over the bruise on Milan's wrist, faint now. Almost healed. I hate that you're always bleeding, he said softly. She looked at him, startled. I don't mean physically, he added. I mean, carrying all of this alone. I don't want you to bleed anymore. The warmth in her chest returned. I don't know if I know how to stop, she whispered. Then let me be your bandage, he said. She blinked. A laugh bubbled out, small, surprise. But real. I'm not sure that's romantic. It's not, he said with a small smirk. But it's honest. She reached across the table and laced her fingers with his. This was something real. In the middle of war, they had this. End of chapter 70. Rain strikes glass, ledgers bleed, names long buried, and the ghosts of the Zhu family stir once more. Milam has lit the fire of reckoning, but Jianong is not a man who falls quietly. Somewhere out there, an aunt thought lost to time waits in the dark, and with her, the missing piece that could unravel everything. The storm is only beginning. In the next chapters of Beneath the Mask, bloodlines will clash, loyalties will fracture, and survival will demand a sacrifice no one is ready to make. This is only the beginning. Stay with us here on The Velvet Story, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what comes next beneath the mask.